therapy all the time, every time. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the pathway to breakthrough within your gene key profile. And this one comes between your evolution sphere and your radiance sphere. And the way that you get there is through that pathway of challenge. You always have to work through the previous pathway to unlock the next pathway. So we have the pathway of challenge, the pathway of breakthrough, and the pathway of core stability. The purpose of this pathway in your activation sequence is so that you can anchor more into yourself. It achieves that core stability because you have to have that stability within your spine, that anchoring into yourself so that you can root down, you can go deeper, so that you can expand and grow taller, right? Like a tree. And so you have to overcome all the challenges in your life, like, oh, the soil is not nutrient rich, or it hasn't rained in a long time, or you just have to find ways to overcome and adapt. And when you are able to overcome and adapt, you get to root in more, right? And then shoot up more. And that is what will give you access to your Venus sequence, where you're going to be opening your heart through your relationships, to yourself and to others, so that you can have an open heart when you move into that active altruism, where you are attracting that prosperity and abundance into your life so that you can give back to the community. But first, you have to be centered and anchored in yourself and view yourself as whole, healed, and complete. And the only way to do that is to overcome the challenges that say you are not. You are not enough. You are not ready. You are not whole. You need someone else. You need this. And so that seeking stops, and you can just be in your naturalness and unlock all that abundance and prosperity waiting for you, because you've attuned yourself to the abundance and prosperity within yourself.
Where's my chime? That was beautiful, Ashley. Well said.
It just came through my open center.
Oh, it was flowing. I could feel it. I could feel it.
Oh, okay. Do you guys want to say anything about any of the pathways in particular before maybe we go into people's charts to kind of give examples? Because I think it's really important for people to actually see how it happens, but I want them to understand it too, right?
I don't. Mine happened kind of organically, or I mean, I was guided by spirit, so that
Is the 33 going to share a story?
No, that one doesn't hold value at this time.
Okay. What about you, Bella? I think you're muted. Yes, you are muted.
Yeah, I feel like we should look at the charts and be mindful of like explaining what we're seeing or how we're seeing what we're seeing, and kind of saying that, you know, that pathway of breakthrough is the most important in the whole chart. That's when we start to embody the soul. That's when we start to align with the inner truth. So that's when the personality and the soul start to like become one. So it's very, 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 there's only one thing to understand with the gene keys, you know, I feel like it's this pathway.
Well, that sparked me because, see, we got your personality on the one side, right? You've got the two programming partners, and then you have your radiance and your purpose on the other side. That line down the middle, which is right here, it's like a butterfly. And so the movement starts over here, and then when it meets this, and then that's when you can fly.
I love that.
I just made it up for you.
Yay! Actually, one of my friends, Johanna, had said the same thing too. She's like, they kind of merge into your.
They do.
And then you have that line, right?
Yes. She's right.
And I love, but it's not like this all the time. It has movement, just like a butterfly's wings. It's like, and then you meet your challenge, and then catalyzation, and then expansion, and it's like your wings get bigger and bigger.
Yes.
And bigger.
So then when sometimes you're going within into the cocoon or or what's it called? It starts with a C, what a butterfly goes into.
The cocoon.
Chrysalis.
Chrysalis. Yeah.
So you're in your chrysalis, and then your wings come out. You start opening and expanding, getting your expansion, and then the wings are too heavy sometimes. They're still wet. They have to dry, and so that's where that allowing and that patience comes in. But trust me, I mean, it's all a process, and you're gonna fly.
I love it. I love it. Beautiful. Okay, let me pull charts. So Michelle was on first, and then Lynn just came on, and it's Lynn's birthday. So happy birthday, Lynn!
What? Party!
Facebook notified me.
We know all your business. We're gonna read right into your soul, sister.
Soul sister. Yes. Okay. Pulling up Michelle's. Let me zoom in if I can. And then I shall screen share. Oh, I'm excited about, so Bella is going on the Ambassador Program retreat, right? And they're introducing a lot of awesome stuff so that the ambassadors are going to be able to facilitate more things. Like they're going to bring in the Star Pearl. And then there's this thing called the Freedom Retreat. And it's based on the 55th gene key. So
of course it is.
I'm so excited about that. I want to know everything, Bella. Sounds amazing. And so we're opening up Michelle's chart, and she has the 55 as her life's work. So it's part of her pathway of challenge. So here we go, sharing it. Can we all see it? Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Yes, perfect. Okay, so let's just take it in for a moment, and then
it's beautiful.
So Bella, if you're muted, you can unmute yourself, and then just whenever you guys get something, let's share.
Well, for me, what I see, sixth line, when I see a sixth line is this whole roof thing. It's about being on the roof, but not being just a judge who doesn't go down playing again. So it's about being that objective visionary that has the courage to come down and play. And the most important thing in the sphere of evolution is to not compromise on your dreams, is to actually nurture that vision that we are evolving, that next house that the visionary is seeing, what we're building together exists. So anything in your life that compromises your dreams is going to make you stay in your life's work and in your evolution. And that's what's going to prevent you to actually take this pathway of breakthrough between the evolution and the radiance. So when you start
Getting to the juicy stuff, and she's cutting out.
If it was too juicy, it wasn't correct.
When you stop compromising.
Too much. Oh,
when
Bella,
you actually
wait, hold on, Bella.
Believe that all the other lines make it as well. Then you are going to be.
Time out, Bella. Bella, you cut out when it was getting juicy.
God, it was getting juicy.
I didn't hear.
Am I back?
You are. It's a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit choppy. Too much energy coming through. You distorted.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Michelle's not ready to hear this. What? Let me hear it.
It's the truth, though. I asked how come I can't have more? It's like, you have to assimilate what you're already working on, girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you were talking about the pathway of challenge and about letting the dream come through, but I don't know where we were going after that.
So am I on?
You are, but it's still
No.
kind of choppy. So. What's curious to me is that your radiance sphere and
okay, so somebody has to say what happens.
What were you saying?
No, you tell her what happens when she breaks through. What's going to change for her when she stops compromising?
Mm-hmm. So if we have, so it's beautiful that your pearl and your radiant sphere is the same, because that pearl catalyzes the breakthrough in your pearl sequence, in your external life, in like your business, in your life, in your relationships, and all that stuff. But you have it in your radiant sphere as well. And so what happens when you're able to get out of that victimization, and even there's a lot of frustration with being a 6 line too, right? Because it takes time to come out. It takes time for you to realize that dream. So it's like percolating in you, and you have to stay on course and not get like too distracted, or like I'm a victim of this or that. And so you have to be really mindful and intimate, and just get into the depths of you so that you can unlock that dream for yourself. And once you're able to catalyze yourself into freedom and intimacy, you get to have that pathway of breakthrough unlocked, right? So if you stay a victim and you stay dishonest with it, you will unlock inertia, which is like that victim of details. And it's like you're running in the same place. There's no forward movement. And so you get even more frustrated, right? And then they even lead to psychosis, because you're like, every time I try to do this, XYZ happens. So you create this belief for yourself, and it just locks you more in a pattern, right? And so when you're able to liberate yourself into freedom and into intimacy, transparency, you're able to, with patience, unlock that determination and invincibility. And I feel like it's like the dream unfolds to you little by little by little. And so you keep putting the pieces together and acclimating them and embodying them. And then eventually you get to see the whole picture. And it's like, you will no longer be that victim of details. You will know what you need to do to become invincible, to have that determination, so that you can have versatility and mastery versus indifference. Because I feel like that inertia when you're running in place, oh my gosh, that's you're like, nothing lights me up. I'm not on the right track. I'm doing all these things, but nothing's hitting home. And so you become indifferent. But when you're on the right track and you have that determination, you unlock mastery and versatility, because there's that enthusiasm and excitement, and you're like, this is it. So that's what's to come through the breakthrough. You guys want to add anything else?
Well, I don't know if I've said this before, but I feel like it's really key, because I have the 59 in my abundance. It's my pearls. So I'm working deeply with it, and it's working with me. And when I saw that the fear animal was the snail, it just was like, ka-choosh, Yeah, it's the snail. And it's a powerful, powerful totem. And it's got that Fibonacci, spiral in it. And so I thought, okay, if I'm afraid of it, I'm going to embrace it. So I've been being the snail, literally forcing myself to slow down, to go within. And then what I put out, I do it so slow and carefully that the frequency is so concentrated and hopefully impactful. Because if it's fast, there's sometimes mistakes, or it weakens. But the snail is slow, but it is steady, right? You have to remember that slow, steady pace is spiraling out, and it is expanding as it goes out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what kind of things can get in the way of, because there's a pathway of challenge, but you have other factors that can create challenge for you. So because your IQ and your EQ are the same, we know that that's a key player for what might trigger that pathway of challenge. And so whether you're feeling a victim or not, you have to accept where you're at. Whether you understand and realize your dream or not, you have to accept where you're at. You have to have patience for it to unfold. That's the whole lesson of the 6 line, is patience. Patience here, patience here, patience here, patience here, lots of patience. So it's probably something you're also like, screw the patience.
Yeah, and don't let it drive you crazy.
Because there's the psychosis. So
Don't let it drive you crazy.
I feel like Bella has something to illuminate in the lines because she's a great line weaver. And we have the 6 and then the 3 and the 2. So like as you're unlocking the 6, what is catalyzing here? Like what does that mean? Like having the second line in your radiance sphere. How?
I mean, I would say that it does unlock the personal, because the 6-line profile is very, like we say, transpersonal and sees the big picture. And what happens when you connect with your soul is that things become more personal. And we can see the line 3 of pleasure that has to do with your heart. You can see the second line that can create those relationships where it's kind of a sacred marriage, you could say. It's like, you know, merging with life, merging with what is alive. So I feel like it's really coming into those relationships where the 6th line could have been a bit aloof for this incarnate. But when you tap in, when you break through, relationships are going to be more personal, more warm, more interesting. And I do feel like there is this warning sign at the same time, because the core wound is a 2nd line, the EQ. So the emotional trigger and the karmic trigger are both 2nd lines. And you have that in your purpose. That is also, if you only look at the activation sequence, the purpose is where we see how we interact in relationships. So you're asked to, if you feel like it's easy to be a 6th line, you're so objective and, you know, you're kind of that judge. Since you have this inner 2nd line, it can be easy for you to like feel like every time there is a problem in the relationship, it's the other person's fault. You know, there is a little bit of a denial. Can be a denial in the 2nd line. That is the core wound of the 2nd line. So it really asks you to use relationship to mirror, to reflect yourself in, and know that you are going to learn about yourself in a very different way than when you're up on the roof. And I feel like that is part of the soul mirroring and the breakthrough, to always, instead of judging relationship, to go back and see yourself in that reflection. And that's going to open up both the karmic, you know, the vocation, and it's going to open up the ease in relationship and the emotional body that opens up that constriction, that where you know, where the 25, you can see that there is both like a mental constriction and a physical or emotional constriction that wants to come out and play.
Oh, I love that, Bella. Yes. And just like you were saying, like we can mirror, we can fold this in half to have that pathway down the middle illuminated. We can fold it down the middle. And so you're able to have the pathway breakthrough illuminated. And the way you do that is it's so easy to be in the 6th line. It's so easy to be in the 6th line, but it's harder to get into the 2nd line. Like the core stability that comes from your radiance to the purpose sphere is unconscious. And we don't recognize it. It's harder for us. For me as a 5th line, 5-1, it's hard for me to get to that 1. It's hard for me to go within. It's hard for me to empower myself. It becomes a challenge for me. I'm like constantly like, but how can I help the other? Because it's so transpersonal. It's like, I want to look at myself, but so that I can help other people. But you got to do the inner work too. And so it catalyzes that deeper connection to yourself. I don't know, it's just so beautiful. And I love being able to line up when you fold it in half, it's like your life's work is feeding into your purpose sphere.
Yes.
So what gives you freedom is that versatility, is that mastery. To know freedom is to know versatility. To know mastery is to know freedom, right? They're like merging into each other.
For the 2, because it's so unconscious, I was taught to ask to be shown, because that's you can't, it's hard to do it yourself. But what you can do is very fun, is external work. So the water play, the sensual play, the kundalini yoga for the 2, the spine work for the 2, chakra sprays for the 2, chimes running behind your laptop while you're on Facebook. You know, those are easy outer world type stuff, which really appeals to a 2, because they just want to just kind of be natural. So those are some fun ways.
Yeah. Before we move on, Michelle, do you have anything that you want to ask or questions that you have about your profile? Because I know that you have a few to look through too, but I want to make sure you feel like you've gotten something from understanding this.
Mm-hmm. Can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can see all of the victim states and shadow things in myself, and I find it really hard to like not focus on those parts, you know. So yeah, and I don't know really where I'm at with everything. And I can see like the 59, the dishonesty is sort of just like not being honest with myself or not wanting to dive deep into things. I just keep like researching more and looking for more information, and I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
For
I
sure.
mean, you got the master key, girl.
Yeah.
You can do this. You
can
can.
unlock freedom or you can unlock victimization. And I feel like if you could, like what you just said about, I could see all of the victim states. I can see all the things there. Maybe that is the state of inertia, right? Because you're the victim of the details. You're like, there are so many details here. How am I going to overcome any of these victim patterns? So then you become indifferent and you do nothing. That's the shot. I mean, I understand. I have 16 as well, so I understand. There's just so much to look at. It's like, can I get a laser focus so that we can work through this? Because I'm getting so swept away by everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what's great about working with the gene keys and the golden path. Like you can take your time with each gene key and then go into them and just go little by little, and you'll see like, okay, right now I'm going to work on my life's work, and yeah, it may connect to, because they connect to everything, but your focus is the 55 or your focus is the 43. And so that's how you're keeping yourself focused on, and you don't even have to pick. You can be like, okay, universe, illuminate which one we're working through now. And just with mindfulness, you get to.
What Bella and I were talking about on the global page, you know, about rewiring your brain and I suggested using what it worked for me was the Attitude of Gratitude journal, 5 a day written out. It was hugely transformative. Gratitude has this really special frequency. And what you're seeing in your life is an illusion. And so you need to break through that illusion, because I feel you, sister. You're amazing. You know, we have a deep connection. So it's just a matter of you're in this loop, you know, it's so sticky. And so you need some tools, you know, instead of the seeking and the studying. I suggest, instead of a yang practice, if you switch and get some balance with more yin practice and do the water play and the sensuality play and get intimate with yourself first, and then just, you know, do the gratitude. Literally what happens throughout the day, you start looking for gratitude. It's beautiful, because what I'm hearing from you is you're looking at the shadows. So and I just started in the beginning, I just started blessing all my shadows and my victim states, because I'm the victim of disharmony, environmental disharmony. And I'm like, well, aren't you an adorable, you know, I had humor too. Aren't you an adorable example of what I can work on now, because I see it? So you're at the seeing stage. So that's huge. That is huge. It's a big step to even be able to see it. So now you can use gratitude and just get out your Gatling gun of gratitude and just shoot it at everything and be silly with it and natural with it, because you got the two. You're going to be a natural.
And you know what's also curious, because as as Melinda brought up the 58, which is about gratitude, because we have dissatisfaction, vitality, and bliss. And in order for you to tap into that, you have to have gratitude. The whole thing is victim of ingratitude. And so it's important to have that gratitude practice. Your unconscious south node is 58.1. So you have to, in your human design chart. And so I was looking for, I was like, does she have 58? Oh yeah, she does, but it's unconscious. So creating that gratitude practice will give you that anchoring and that knowing. You already went through that in your past lives and in the first half of your life, because your south node is past and your north node is future. So what you're moving into is that 52 and that 15. And you were before in that 10 and the 58. 10 is so tough. There's a clinging factor to your south node. And the clinging factor makes you stay in the seeking and stay in the gratitude. And so you're stuck in a biofeedback loop. To liberate yourself, you have to get into the 52. Guys, what is that one? I totally forgot. I'm spacing. Is that stillness? What is 52?
Sounds like it. I don't have my book.
The 52 and the 15. 15 is slow.
What'd you say? Magnetism, fluorescence for 15, and stillness, and
look at that.
Restraint.
Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. So much stillness. It's not an action-based gene key. Those two are still gene keys. And so you have the ring of seeking in your 10, and then that 58, that's going to drive you. You're like, I'm so dissatisfied now, I need to go to the future. And you're a 6 line. So that's where you hang out too. So just wanted to bring.
Have you read the codon ring of seeking?
No.
Get ready.
Well, we shall. If you go onto the Gene Keys website for any of your gene keys, you can look up that gene key and then scroll down, and it tells you codon ring and then the description of the codon ring.
Okay.
Yeah, click around in there, play with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's a wealth of information.
Thanks for letting us share your chart and dive into it. Getting intimate with your chart. I think we were hanging out in the gift of your evolution.
Yeah.
I love how your kitty came to support you right then. That was so lovely. There's such great transmuters of energy. So sweet. Makes my eyes tear up. I miss having a kitty. Come transmute my energy. Too hard. No, just kidding. I got this.
Yeah. Okay, so now moving on to Lynn so that we can look at her pathway of breakthrough. Let's take a moment to breathe this in. It's her birthday today. This is this is transit for everybody. May 3rd, transit, right here, this profile. Well,
close to Cinco de Mayo.
Well, this profile is not gonna be the same as today. I don't know, because the north node, the south node, all the different stuff is going to be changed, but at least we know that the life's work and the evolution is the same. So the pathway of challenge and the pathway of breakthrough is going to be pretty much the same for everybody today. So this is what y'all are going to be going through today. What's our challenge for today, wise ones?
Lynn, did you read about what I wrote about the 44 and finding my team?
Yes, I did. I did yesterday, and I'm going through some challenges in that area right now.
What's going on?
I'm switching teams at work right now. An opportunity came up, remembering a past call, what you want wants you. So I'm changing teams. I have mixed feelings. It's bittersweet, but the old team is not so happy and the new team is so ecstatic. So there's some challenges with leaving and still trying, the transit from one team to another and where I need to be right now. It's a little stressful.
It is. And I just I had the same thing happen. So I just kept telling myself, not a frequency match.
Yeah.
You know, just not. It's not. I was getting all angsty about it. you know, and sad and wistful and worrying about other people's feelings. And I was just like, gosh, you know, it just is. It's just you're in a higher frequency, you know, and you're just not a match for that other group, you know, and this other group, it sees you and knows your potential. So it'll be a bit, but the transition, be kind to yourself.
Everybody wants you, Lynn.
Everybody wants you. There's your theme song.
Oh, yeah. So it's tough. And I see you have 13 in your radiance, your SQ, and your culture sphere. So that pattern's coming up. You have it in the second line, the fourth line, the sixth line, 2, 4, 6. So you have some personal and transpersonal experience with this. And so it's pretty heavy in your chart. And I think you have it one or two other times in your human design chart. So being able to feel their pull, you're like, oh, it's so hard to take that leap because these people are not happy that I'm leaving. These people are happy that I'm coming, but now I'm in the middle and being pulled like tug of war.
It's a Lynn sandwich.
Yes. So what is happening in the mind to create challenge that prevents the breakthrough? Because the breakthrough is having that discernment and empathy and observing but not absorbing. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to deny yourself what you want. You don't have to feel like you're rejecting other people because your core wounds may be coming up too, right? Here's the core wound of separation. Separation, rejection, denial. It's like, oh my Lord, like that is going to be the hardest thing for you. This is a challenge for you because you know that you don't like that stuff happening to you. You don't want to be rejected. You don't want to be denied. You don't want that separation. And yet you have to do it to somebody else.
You guys, just recently, I'm changing the word challenge to opportunity. It's a reframe. And all of a sudden, when I was writing it, I swear to goodness, I capitalized unity. I never knew unity was in opportunity. What?
Oh, I love this. I want to change it. This is the last time we will say pathway of challenge.
What?
Opportunity.
Rewrite.
People can call it whatever they want to call it, but I do agree that words matter, right? And you just invented, right? Instead of being addicted to let's just keep going with what everybody's always said, you're like, no, I'm not going to call it that. I will invent my own term here, right? And it takes a team to like make that change too. So we shall do it too and see what ripples.
Woo! Because challenge sounds challenging. What the hell?
Tell me what you think, Bella. I want to hear from Bella. My Bella.
So I have so many of these gene keys in my chart. And I have the same radiance and purpose. And I also have the 61, the 16, the 44.
Yes.
Because my birthday is in 4 days, right?
Yeah.
I
so
feel like
sisters.
Yeah, and there is something with this chart where, you know, looking at the core wound, it is about limitation. So there is, I feel like it's so normal. Every time, the 60th gene key is about structures. It's a 6th line, so it's kind of, you know, it's kind of, you need patience with a 6th line. And it is like now when your structures are changing at work, that has to do with teams and teamwork, there is going to be difficulty at the beginning. There is going to be limitation. There is going to be, you can't both be with the old team and with the new team. There is going to be some interference. But that's really kind of what fuels your Chiron, you know, what fuels the wounded healer to come through. And when you actually when you actually rise where you look from the interference to the teamwork, and you tap into that teamwork, like always with new eyes, which is invention, what you're going to feel when your heart opens through that is the belonging. And and then it goes into the same thing we're speaking about for Michelle, because it's about creating those relationships where you are nurtured, that marriage, like that line 2, and flow is coming. And it's not until you get that flow that you are going to be able to live the versatility and the inspiration that you have in your attractor and your IQ. So there is something so important to not see the limitation and the interference as, you know, as something bad, really, but accepting it, having patience with it, and finding your belonging. And I feel like the SQ is asking you, where do I belong? And everything else is secondary, because when that happens in your vocation, when the coin flips from the core wound to the vocation, your reality becomes magic. That's the sixth gene key. It's light, you know. So for me, it's really, actually for you, I look almost more at the SQ than anything else. It looks like the SQ is the heart between the 13-6 in the culture, between the 13-2 in the radiance. There is something so important with the 13-4 that pops out at me. And that is part of this whole Venus sequence unlocking, and you starting to find the inspiration for your own sake, and the versatility for your own sake, and not being so influenced by what's going on outside anymore. It doesn't matter if the old team isn't happy, really, because it's just structures, and structures are here in 3D, but they are just structures.
Mm-hmm. I'm so excited. I feel like I had an epiphany with Bella's explanation for you, because I'm seeing the pattern of Lynn gets into a job. Lynn is the leader of the job. She's the teacher. She's the master. She's helping the team work together. And remember, she had this job before. She had this current job, right? I think. And so it's like you come in to create that teamwork, to teach, to help the master. And of course, when the teacher leaves, the group is like, we can't do this without you. And it's like, no, you can. It's okay, right? So you have to reassure them, whatever time I spend with you is the exact time you needed me there. And now it's time for me to move into a new group. And so your core wound is separation and belonging, because you long to create this community where everyone feels accepted. And so you don't want to leave. But guess what? You're like Gandalf, and you're like, I need to leave. You need to do this on your own. I can't be that for you anymore, because you're ready. You just need to tell them, you guys are ready. You're ready for this. And so anytime you feel that separation happening and that resistance and that pull, you need to be like, you got this, guys. You don't need me anymore. It's fun. It was amazing and fun working with you, and we created that bond. But now you guys have that bond together, and it's like you're leaving them better than you came, right?
And it's your flow, the second line in your radiance and your purpose. That is what's creating, that's what your soul wants to do. It wants to dance, it wants to flow. So when you feel stuck in a structure, you are stuck in your core wound. When you start to flow, your reality becomes magic. That's really, you know, what it just kind of says to us very clearly.
When you begin to flow, your reality becomes magic. This is the gene key of
Where's my chimes?
61. It's like so much magic hanging out there.
Mm-hmm.
And the 60th too. It's this codon ring of Gaia, and the codon, like, it's really about that realism that is, you know, the 60 and the 61 together. And they also come right after each other, if I remember right, in the wheel. So they're also in the same quarter. They have a very similar message. And it's what you're, you know, it's both your attractor field and your vocation. So together, it's really about the magic in the flow of life.
How do you feel, Lynn? You have any questions?
That really helped, the explanation, and it just really helped explain what I'm feeling and what I'm going through. And that's the reason why I made a point to get on this call, even though I'm at work. I took the time to do this because I knew there would be answers for me or encouragement that would help me through this little hump I have to go through here right now. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on and letting us jump into your keys. It's beautiful, and it's perfect timing. Like, this is where we're at today, and it's your birthday, so it's time to receive, right?
Yes.
And so many 6 lines, you know. I have many 6 lines too, and you see Michelle has it too. So it is some patience, you know. So that's with the sixth line, it is patience, but then at the end, the reward I feel is so much bigger, and the reward is even sustainable once we kind of get it. Once we merge the sixth line with the flow, if we're a second line, or the sixth line with, you know, for me the fourth line, it doesn't matter. But when we have had the patience, the reward is just really, really big for the
It's worth
sixth line.
it. Yeah.
And I feel like Lynn's done a ton of the work anyways. Like she's off the roof, right? And so it's almost like get ready to unlock all the magic. It's like you get to be the teacher. You get to not go through the challenge of your own stuff, traversing all of the lines. You're like, I'm a sixth line now. Come to me for the wisdom. You are Gandalf.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. Been there, done that. I shall teach you, and I will be your teacher for however long the universe needs me to be, and then I will have to go on to my new group. So it's just, you can't control their emotions, right? They're gonna feel what they're gonna feel, and you just have to have compassion, right? And tenderness. That's what tenderness. You can be the divine mother. You can be that mother for them. Oh, this is really good for you, Lynn. This is good. I hope you can find peace in this and know that it's the right thing, and they'll be okay. Everybody will be okay. All right. Oh, you guys want to do one more chart? One more chart, two more charts?
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other questions about the pathway to breakthrough now that you've kind of seen it in each other? Do you kind of understand it a little bit better?
I'm gonna pull a birthday card for Lynn. Let's all blow on it for her, like a candle. Like a candle. Alligator. It says 50 on it. Ooh. What does alligator want to say?
Tell us.
Alligator, let me drop my judgments, accepting life with grace, so that forlorn care and worry will vanish from my face. Let me integrate each moment, digesting life with ease, counting all my experiences as equal opportunities. And integration. You're just in an integration process, I think, probably. Awesome.
Oh, love that card. Can you post that card?
Thank you.
Design
Yeah.
for her? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that it's online, but if it's not, I can take pictures of it. This book even has it has homework. No, it has a contrary if it's flipped.
It's what you read. Okay, so we're gonna do Margarita's now because she was one of the first people to comment, and I think that's all we have time for today. So let's share hers. Okay, see if I can.
Woo!
Bigger. She has Lynn's swapped. Well, at least the 24 and the 44, not the line or anything like that, but she does have that in common, except it's in her unconscious, and that's what will create that core stability for her. But to do that, she has to unlock those. So lay it on us, ladies.
Well, I'll start with the 33 since I have 33.6 in my culture. 33 in I Ching is retreat, and I recently learned that it's also a retrieval. So it's going within. That's what, retreating within. It's a strategy. Retreating is not a negative at all. It's actually going within and reinforcing and integrating, like we were talking about, and getting stronger and more solid in your base before you then move more powerfully forward. The universe does an expansion and contraction. So this is a frequency of the contraction, of going within to retrieve parts of you that you may have forgotten or lost. And you can find those with markers. From what I've been told by a psychic, that we leave markers or little things to remind us to find where those pieces that we left, maybe possibly through past traumas or experiences where we felt more in our shadow. So it's about taking those pieces of ourselves and integrating them back into our wholeness and our oneness, because it will have more energy with that. It is a stop codon. So as here to stop the energy leaks. When we live in the past or live in the future, we do leak our energy, and it's detrimental to having the energy to move forward, because we're just diffusing. We just have forgotten, and we just need to remember who we are. We're whole and one.
And it's not that we lost anything, it's that we just merely decided not to integrate it, like you said. And when we have these illusions of holes in ourselves, we can create this codependence, and we have these patterns of codependence. And so the only way that you're going to be able to break free from this illusion of not being whole or not enoughness or anything that is coming up to create that codependent pattern, you have to be mindful and be sensitive too. And this one is tough because you also are sensitive to others. You're very sensitive to everything. And so it kind of dilutes everything, because you can't, it's hard to focus on yourself when you're feeling everything else. And she's got 12 3 times, and instead of 2 4 6 like we saw before, she's 1 3 6. So she's got a lot of personal, and then the transpersonal over here. So I'm just looking at that to see when you're in the pattern of forgetting, you create these codependent patterns, and they are an addiction for you, right? And it's hard to break through them. You have to bust through that wheel of samsara. And so what's going to help you do it? Oh, that pearl of seeking, right? You have that drive, that push. You're like, I need to figure this out. I'm so dissatisfied. Let me figure this out, right? And so having gratitude for those pieces that you didn't integrate, that you are integrating or whatever, will allow you to break that pattern, to come into that discrimination and invention. And discrimination is also a really good one. It's kind of like the 13, where you're able to discriminate between what's yours, what's theirs, what's great about you, what's great about them. There's no vanity like I'm better than or I'm less than. It's more like look at their talents, look at their gifts, they're beautiful. And then there's no comparison, competition, anything like that. Everybody gets to be who they are. And you're not trying to be somebody that you're not, or you're not trying to belittle people so that you look better than they are, right? To unlock that invention within yourself to work together. And she's a 3-5. Bella, any insights for Margarita?
Yeah, I just want to take it super back to basics and like say this is a completely different animal, very different challenge for a 3-5. We also see this, like, you know, what can we call it, the master number 333 on the top. So I feel it kind of screams at us the challenge of line 3. So line 3 is breaking out of the need for approval or attention, because a third line is very inconsistent. A third line is here to play with energy and experience, like you see line 3 is energy and experience. And it's somebody who often have an inconsistent life, and it's somebody who can often be shamed for that. That would be the core wound. So you need to break out of actually even so much caring about what the other thinks. Actually, the best thing for the third line is to say, this is how I function. I like my life to be an adventure, and I've already accepted that dynamic. You don't need to approve me, and I'm not like, sometimes the attention seeking can be, you know, we kind of become an actor or something just because then we have the right to do what we do. So to find a strategy, to have people being okay with who you are is completely wrong. That strategy has to go, and you have to start to live your life without an agenda and become a player with that energy and those experiences. And that's so important for the third line. And actually, you know, anybody that watch this call, and we that are on the call, with all the 3 5s that we have in our lives, or 3 6s, we need to remember this, because they look like they are free people. They look like they are, you know, the game player, but they live with this thing inside them that they are always aware of the other and what we think about them. So we need to give them a 3 5. There's something deeper, instead of being kind of trapped in that play of approval and the inconsistency. Actually, when that's accepted, a big tension is released, and as there's so much new energy that can come in, so that there's a completely different vibration in your body. The line 5 is vibration, and then your voice can come through. The voice that before kind of was lost can finally come through, and in that voice, in that vibration, you anchor yourself, and then you are not actually that inconsistent anymore, because your voice kind of shows and speaks your purpose and anchors in your purpose. So then in this case, when you accept that, there is going to be a completely new form of teamwork, and it's also going to be invention. You know, the radiance and the purpose is actually creating so many new possibilities in your life. And before the relationships and the attraction, where there was like kind of superficial promiscuity, or even like sometimes darkness, suddenly the playfulness come back, and you can start to have that ideal again of what relationship can look like, when you don't have to prove anything, when you don't have to be accepted, when you can be who you are. And that also, we can see it fuels the adventure of the inner child in the SQ. That pleasure, that adventure, like the inner child comes out pure again. So, and if there are 3 12, like we were saying, the 3 12, so the purity of who you really are comes out when you break through in that evolution sphere.
I love it. Beautiful, beautiful, Bella. See how it's important to understand the gene keys and how they play with this, and then understand what the line numbers are, because they all tell a story. And when you can look at this and it's like, what is she trying to unlock, and what's really heavy in her profile? 3s, 5s, pleasure, 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 pleasure. Don't deny or repress that pleasure. Let it out. Your core wound is repression. It's the only first line you have. And so because it's not so heavy, it's really hard for you to discriminate. You're like, I don't know that this is it. I feel all these other things, the shame, guilt, right? It's like, no, let yourself feel the pleasure is what unlocks that magnetism of your heart, where you can feel the purity, like Bella said, the purity of your being, and you have bliss in that purity of being. But in order for you to unlock that, you have to just remember to play. Remember to play. Remember to, that is a big thing. Remember to play. That's it.
And now, actually, when you were speaking, I had a kind of similar epiphany that you have. When we look at the pearl, the whole story comes. It's like a double theme of naturalness. Line 2 is naturalness, you know, and naturalness is also the gift frequency of the 10th gene key. So can you hear me? So actually, you think you're going to have a recognition from approval or attention, but actually, your recognition comes from naturalness. It's only about naturalness. It's very important to be natural and to accept yourself for what you are. The recognition comes naturally.
What came through for me is to follow your bliss. I did a whole, I do that, go within and follow your bliss. Follow, my friend was, she's a high priestess and gone to mystery schools, and she just keeps saying, follow the golden thread. I'm like, what the heck is she talking about? Follow the golden thread is following your bliss, what makes you happy. And guess what? Following the golden thread leads to the golden path.
Oh.
And then you become the path. And then you fall off. But then you're more resilient, and then you can get back on, because then you start again. Okay, go within, listening, asking within, and then where's that golden thread, and just like hold on to, because finding the golden path, that sounds too huge. You know, that's a path is really big, but just find what's bringing you bliss and joy. And
Follow the yellow brick road.
yes, and that's when I had a meditation, and the yellow brick road was exposed to me.
I had a song pop into my head in the shower this morning. Remember when they're all in the beauty parlor getting all primped, and they're like, cut here with something, whatever. It's that song, and it was in my head. I'm like, all right, the Wizard of Oz is coming to play today. I'm going to nurture myself and
follow. Okay, so now these are archetypes. Okay, all of the spheres, all of the lines, all of the gates. These are archetypes, and the Wizard of Oz is a huge, really strong, powerful. So homework, contemplation. Let's watch that. Let's post that movie.
Yay, and then let's see what we can pull out, because honestly, like the golden thread, the golden path, the yellow brick road, it's like, what does this have for us? Because all of us are on here because we're seeking something, right? If we were in our naturalness and we were being, I'm not sure we would be on this call, because we would have like this relaxation about us, and it's like, there is no more seeking. The seeking has exhausted itself. I'm just super abundant, and I have expanded beyond expansion. You know, I just am. And that's beautiful.
And Dorothy is meeting, you know, all these characters, her teammates that are with her. And it feels like they're the spheres, the IQ sphere, you know, that he thinks he's, you know, the straw man, right? He doesn't think he's smart, right? And so he must be the IQ. I don't know. It's in there. I can tell.
That I do. And what's the SQ? What's the IQ? What's the EQ? Is she going back into her childhood to rectify all these woundings that she's had? I don't know. So definitely, like she said, as homework, maybe go look into the
I'm getting chills, you guys. Yeah, she's breaking through the veil of illusion when she pulls back the curtain. Yeah, we need to watch this.
Oh, right. Homework, everybody.
Homework.
As we're wrapping up, because I do have to go, this whole pathway of breakthrough, huge for us, and I feel like it's a key part of your understanding for you to be able to break through different parts of your gene keys, because otherwise you're just superficial and like just looking at it from not the depth of it, right? Because you'll get that breakthrough as you go deeper. So use this pathway to go deeper into different parts of it. Melinda, Bella, do you have anything else you want to say as we wrap up this call about the pathway to breakthrough?
Good. Yeah, it's a good call, you guys.
Yes.
Tuesday.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for showing up, you guys. You know that means so much to us. Teamwork!
Yay! Have a beautiful rest of your day, everybody. And again, thanks for joining us and sharing your charts with us as we go deeper into that and unlock your design. So thanks again. Have a great day. Happy birthday, Lynn.
Thank you.